Hi, I'm Hilary Kearney of Girl Next Door Honey, and today I'm going to show you how to install a new VSH-Italian queen from Wildflower Meadows. Wildflower Meadows breeds mite-resistant survivor queens for gentleness and honey production. So reasons for wanting to add a new queen to your colony could include increasing the size of your apiary. Maybe you'd like to make a split, which is when you take an existing colony and divide it in two. One half is going to keep the original queen and the other half will need a new queen. You could also need a new queen if you have a defensive or underperforming colony. Maybe your queen is gotten a little bit aggressive, or perhaps she's just not laying well. You could also add a new queen if you've caught a swarm, or if you just like to upgrade the genetics in your hive. So before you go ahead and install your new queen bee, you need to remove the old queen from your colony. You need to do this 24 hours before you install your new queen. When you do go in to install your new queen, you should make sure that there are no queen cells or virgin queens to compete with your new queen. So this is our JZBZ queen cage, and I'm just going to explain it for those of you who aren't familiar. This is the sugar feeding tube here, and what's going to happen after you install this in your hive is your bees are going to eat through the sugar candy, and by the time they get through, a couple of days will have passed. That's going to give your bees time to get used to their new queen, and it's going to increase a chance of acceptance. This upper portion of the cage is guarded. It's for your queens to protect herself and have some shelter in case your colony is a little bit aggressive towards her initially. And then this bottom half is screened so that your bees can both feed her and smell her, which is going to aid her acceptance. So there are 6 attendants in here that are taking care of your queen, mostly while she's in transport. If any of them happen to die, don't worry about that. Once you put this queen cage in your hive, the other bees will start to take care of her. You should also make sure not to remove any attendants or disturb the sugar tube. When you place your queen cage inside of the hive, you want to make sure you place it in the center of the hive. You want it in the center of the brood nest, ideally next to open brood. If you don't have any open brood in your hive at the time of installation, if possible, borrow some brood from a neighboring colony. When you place your queen cage in the hive, you want to make sure that it is turned sideways. If you have the cage facing up, what can happen is that the sugar candy will melt. It could fall on your queen and actually kill her. If you have the sugar tube facing down, what can happen is that a bee inside one of the attendants possibly could die and end up blocking your queen's exit. So the best way is to turn the cage sideways. So just to review, you should remove your old queen approximately 24 hours before installing your new queen. If it doesn't work with your schedule, don't worry, you can do it a little bit earlier than that. You should also remove any queen cells and check for virgin queens to make sure they're not in your hive. You should not remove the attendants, just leave them in place. And there's no reason to disturb the sugar candy at all. You don't need to poke any holes or anything like that. Orient the cage in a sideways position, and you should make sure to place the cage in the center of the brood nest. So now I'm going to teach you how to install a new queen bee in a Langstroth hive. So I like to use a rubber band just across my frame here to install the queen in the center of the brood nest. Once I got my rubber band in place, I can go ahead and slide my cage right inside here. And this is just going to keep it secure. Remember, you want to keep it sideways so that your queen has a clear exit. Sometimes you might need to even leave out a frame in order to have adequate room for the bees to access the cage. So now I'm going to show you how to install your new queen bee into a flow hive. So this is our flow hive here, and you can see that it's just 2 boxes. Your flow hive is actually a Langstroth hive, and it just has a modified super with some specialized frames that allow for a different way to harvest honey. So when you do the requeening portion, you just need to go into your lower box, because this is your brood box. This is where the queen is going to be. So you'll need to locate her, remove her, and then this is where you're going to install your new queen as well. So this upper portion here, you're just going to take this off, the whole upper box. You're just going to lift off because these are our flow frames and they really have nothing to do with brood or requeening. This is just for honey. This is our center frame, so this is a good frame to put our new queen bee on. Just like in the Langstroth hive, I'm going to use my rubber band to secure my queen cage. So once your queen cage is secure, you can go ahead and put your frame back in the hive. So now we're going to talk about how you actually install your queen into your top bar hive. For the top bar hive, what we're going to do is attach this new queen to an empty bar. This is just the simplest way to do this. I use a rubber band, so I'm going to take a rubber band here and go over the bar with it. I want to make sure it's in the center. And then I'm just going to slide my cage sideways. So now I've got my queen cage in the center of the bar, in the center of the hive, nicely secured. The tube has a clear exit, and I can go ahead and put my queen in. So after you've got your queen in your hive, you want to make sure to close it up and not touch it for a week. If you do disturb your colony after installing your new queen, the chance of supersedure is higher. You want to make sure that she's accepted, so it's best to just close it up and not touch it for 1 week. After 1 week's time, it's important to go back into your hive and inspect to make sure that your queen has been released from her cage. If she is out, you should go through the colony and make sure that there aren't any more queen cells that your bees may have built in that week's time. You should also check to see if you can see any eggs to see if your queen is already laying. If your queen has not exited the cage, you need to do a manual release. You can do this by clearing the sugar tube and allowing her to exit that way, or you can open the little door next to the tube. Once she's been released, it's important to go in 1 week later again to check and see if she's laying. Thanks for watching our video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot. I'm Hilary of Girl Next Door Honey. I teach local beekeeping classes here in San Diego, California, and I also do online classes. You can read all about it on my website, girlnextdoorhoney.com.